And Vicki has her real life story to talk to you about why texting really isn't a good idea while you're driving. Vicki.
Thanks for having me here today. I'm going to share with you what happened to me and my family on the 4th of December 2012. On that day, my life changed forever. It was a normal day, just like any other day, and our family got up in the morning. My daughter Brooke and I had breakfast together, and I made everyone's lunch for the day. At the end of the day, we would all return home, sit down together and talk about our highs or our lows that we had in the day and find out what each other had been doing. That day, Brooke made a decision that was the last decision of her life. As Brooke was heading to work that day, she was already organising her day in her mind, like we all do in this busy lifestyle that we lead. The downfall that day was deciding to text and drive. Mobile phones can create such a distraction while we're driving. It's been described that texting and driving is similar to driving blind. Now, if I'd said to Brooke, when you get on that road that you know so well, just pop on a blindfold, she would have thought that I was crazy. But at 8:27, Brooke sent a text message while driving. At 8:31, 000 received a phone call of a single car accident that hit a tree head-on, doing 100 kilometres an hour. The next text sent to Brooke's phone was from me. I was in distress and I was asking Brooke to contact me. I know now that when I sent this message, Brooke had already passed. At 10 a.m. that morning, I received the phone call that no parent ever wants to receive. I am standing here today because I don't want your parents to receive the same phone call. I cannot explain the pain I felt at that moment. There are no words to describe it. I just know that I ached with every thread of my existence, and I wanted my baby girl back in my world. The next text to Brooke's phone was from me again. I was telling her that I loved her. She didn't answer. All our lives are busy, but if we're not careful and if we don't take the time to stop and think about our actions, then maybe one of our actions could be our last. There is a consequence for every action. Brooke didn't come home for dinner that night, and the place at our table will be empty forever. The low our family experienced that day, I wish on no other family. I get through each day being grateful for having my baby girl in my world for 20 years. But the sad thing is it should have been so much longer. I know that Brooke would want me to apologise to those who happened to be on the scene that day. What they experienced was nothing short of horrific. Brooke would also want me to thank the amazing emergency services that day that helped her. The dignity and respect these people give people in these situations is amazing, and as a mother, I thank them. The days that followed were very hazy and still are today. What Brooke's dad and I had to do in the days ahead, trust me, you do not want your parents to have to do. After someone passes away in a motor vehicle accident, you then have to go and identify their body. Thankfully, most of Brooke's injuries were internal because, as you can imagine, the injuries caused in a road trauma can be horrific. I understand this is a very confronting day for you all, and it's upsetting for people to hear, but this is real life. It is something that really happens to normal, everyday people if you take risks on the road. Not only texting and driving risks, but all driving risks. So Brooke's dad and I had to make the long trip down to the coroner's court in Melbourne. For the first time since the accident, we saw Brooke. It was one of the hardest things that I will ever have to do in my life, and I beg you all, please don't make someone that loves you do the same thing. Once that was over, we came home, but we had to leave Brooke there. She had to undergo many examinations. On the way home, it hits you, and then you think about a funeral. Sadly, when I look back, I thought that I was going to organise Brooke's wedding with her. That will never happen. Brooke will never have the joys of having a baby or a family of her own, and that cuts me to the core. When organising the funeral, the one thing that was very important to us at the time, and still is today, is that Brooke would have wanted her life to be celebrated. Brooke was a bubbly and energetic spirit. She deserved nothing short of the best, and as a parent, that's what you want for your child, the best. So I decided whatever Brooke needed me to do, I would do it for her. It was my goal to keep her memory alive. Brooke was a brave woman who shaved her head for cancer on more than one occasion, and she loved to help people and was constantly looking for a way to make a difference in someone else's life. I know Brooke would want me to make sure that this message gets out to the public so that other families don't go through the same horrific experience that we've had to endure. For many years, we've been conveying the speeding and drink driving messages, and rightly so, but society and the world is changing rapidly, and we now have been faced with a new issue. Yep, mobile phones. Our family and friends have a grave feeling that if this issue is not raised and taken seriously, then we could see a huge epidemic on our roads in the future. And I'm not going to stand up here and tell you that mobile phones are bad and that you're all addicted to them. Brooke and myself and the rest of my family were huge technology users and still are today. Mobile phones provide us with such flexibility to interact with others whenever we want. But we need to look at these issues and make sure that we use the phone in the correct places. What we need to do is turn this message into a common message like the speeding and drink driving messages. I thank you for listening to me today and allowing me to tell our story. We were just a family just like yours, no different. We were just like those people that you see on the news. They are real people. Think about that next time you see something on the news. I love my phone, I love contacting and chatting with people, but you need to think, is it an appropriate time? Is it safe? Please either turn your phones off or put them in a place where you're not tempted to touch them. Please just do what you're supposed to be doing, and that is to drive to stay alive. Seriously, using your mobile phone while driving is not worth it. Just think, are you prepared to never see your parents again? Are you prepared to never grow old or have a family of your own? Or are you prepared to have your mum cry next to your grave uncontrollably on Mother's Day? It's not worth it. Don't take the risk. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki, for having the